Joining me now is our International Affairs Editor, Philip Turle. Philip, what are the reasons for this announcement?
Well, there are several reasons. The first one is that this is the most far-right government that Israel has ever had, and the far-right government is in favour of increased construction of Jewish settlements in the occupied West Bank. It's done everything it possibly can to be able to push those settlements to be built. We've had a massive increase in the amount of settlements being constructed since 2022, since Benjamin Netanyahu was re-elected with that far-right government. And there are elections coming up in Israel at the end of October, and the settlement program has been given an added boost by the government because the government knows that it needs to get all this through before those elections. So it's very, very difficult for an future government to go back on that and to stop those settlements from being built. So I think those are the two main issues. What we're talking about here is the E1 area you mentioned, which is either east of Jerusalem, the part which is the closest to East Jerusalem. There is a Jewish settlement which is just close by there, which is called Mal Adumin, where you have about 37,000 settlers living there. What is the program here is to build another series of houses, first of all for about 1,400 homes to begin with, and then building that up to about 3,000 homes afterwards, so that it would make it virtually impossible, if that construction goes ahead, for any passageway to be made between the northern part of the West Bank and the southern part of the West Bank, and cutting off East Jerusalem, which, reminder, was supposed to be the future Palestinian capital, cutting that off from the rest of Palestine and making it virtually impossible for there to be a two-state solution.
We've already heard a great deal of displeasure being expressed by European countries such as France, Britain and Germany, but what exactly can the international community do?
Well, there's been widespread condemnation of all of this, but I think what the Israeli government feels right now is that they don't really have any opposition. Benjamin Netanyahu feels like he has a green card to do what he wants. He knows that Donald Trump's not going to interfere with this because the United States is Israel's closest ally. The US is more bogged down in the war in Iran. It doesn't really have time for what's going on in the West Bank or even the Gaza Strip, which has taken second place. The European Union doesn't really have the clout it used to have. You mentioned, of course, these countries that have come out against this construction plan, been very vocal about it, including the UK, France, Italy and Germany. But what they can do remains pretty limited. There is one thing they could do, and that's to introduce, for example, sanctions on Israel, economic sanctions on Israel. There is this deal that was signed back in the 1990s, which they could go back on because Israel is the largest trading partner for the European Union. But that looks pretty unsure they're going to do that right now. So lots of complaints from capitals around Europe, particularly from Ed Miliband, the British Foreign Secretary, who has been very, very outspoken and been criticised by the Israeli government for what he said about this. But it looks like the Israeli government really doesn't seem to care much about international reaction to this. They just feel like they want to steam ahead to get these settlements built as fast as possible, because the more settlements that are built, the less likely there will be a two-state solution. That is something that Benjamin Netanyahu has said he will never allow to happen. This is really a make-or-break period because those elections are coming up pretty quickly, and he wants to get this off the ground before they do.
Philip Turle, thank you.